There's no crying in baseball, but there is in football. Can't say that on Christian radio.
Are you sure there's no crying in baseball? Is that real?
That's an actual movie quote, Jesse.
Oh, well, homeschooler out here.
There's no crying in baseball, but there is in football. Can't say that on Christian radio. My name is Therese Main.
My name is Jesse Gabel. Together we host Main and Gabel afternoons on Family Life, and we're weeping with you. The tears of football for the Bills this weekend. We're here to support you. This is a safe place.
If you didn't feel sad watching Josh Allen on the podium after the game, you might be heartless. Because when he stepped up there in tears, he could have deflected blame to the teammates. He could have blamed the refs, coaching, weather conditions, I don't know, anything. But instead, he took this responsibility, which I love. And I feel like we need more examples of men like this, men who show what it's like to lose graciously, men who are masculine. I mean, you can't doubt Josh Allen, great athlete. He is like muscle man, speed man, strength man. He is a man, but he still shows emotions. And he might have lost the game, but you know that he cares about what he does. And they always say people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think we all walked away from that moment going, there is a man who cares. And I was like, what does the Bible say about being a man? Have we misconstrued what a manly man is in our modern society, Jesse?
Well, I think that we have this impulse deep within us for competition, and this goes absolutely for women too, but especially guys. I think we want to perform. We want to be the best. We want to be on top. We want to test our skills and our mettle and our toughness against the other competing dudes and come out on top. It's just very deep within us. That's why sports is as big as it is, not just football, but any sport, any game that you can imagine. And so when you are beat by someone else, that impulse drives you nuts, and it doesn't feel good, and you want to get back at them. You want to be the one who triumphed. But in every game we enter into, every competition, there is going to be a loser. And I think when we kick the dirt and throw a hissy fit because we lost, you're disrespecting the fact that you stepped into a game in the first place. I think we all need to go into competitions, whether we're watching them from the couch or playing on the field, with the expectation that, hey, I might lose this. The other team might win fair and square, and I need to be okay with that. And if you're not okay with that, maybe sports isn't for you.
We can't really control what happens to us, but we sure can control how we respond to what happens to us. Now, in a game of skill, there is some control that you have over what happens to you. But at the end of the day, your response matters more. I think part of being a real man is being courageous. And it made me think about, what does the Bible say about courage? I think Joshua 1:9 is kind of the verse that everyone kind of goes
Joshua?
to. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. That was a big one where I was like, we don't often think of manly man being optimistic. Is that what, and then your Lord, your God will be with you wherever you go. So being a real man also means being faithful in the face of fear and knowing that God is the one that you lean on. Courage in a biblical sense is not based upon your own might. It's based upon your faith in God's might.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
That's a little different.
Well, I was talking to my family the other day. Can you imagine? Let's take a step back and look at football for what it is. You are going out on this field with 30 of your best friends. You train with these guys all the time, so you have to be getting pretty close. You're on a first-name basis with all these players. You know for a fact that some of your friends are going to get torn ACLs and broken bones and concussions.
Somebody's probably going to get hurt.
Somebody's going to get hurt. And then imagine you go out and your buddy gets severely injured right next to you, taken off to the blue tent. He's out for the game. Now you have to go back into that field and keep playing. You don't think that takes some courage? Oh my goodness, the amount of bravery you have to have. I guess I'm not surprised that we're hearing more and more testimonies of players' faith, because I don't know how I would survive the fiery crucible of the NFL if I didn't have that to lean on. Yeah, I think we absolutely need that.
So is crying manly?
Is crying manly? I'd like to look through the Bible and see all the instances where somebody wept, because I'm pretty sure like every major biblical character has some breakdown at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why in our modern culture we look at Goliath as a manly man, but we don't look at Jesus as a manly man.
Or David, the one who, put the rock in his head.
But we knew that David was a wimp. I mean, that was
Yeah, I mean, come on, that dude.
I mean, but he was faithful, and that's where the courage factor comes in. But when you said the Bible is full of people who wept, I mean, Jesus wept. We know that. Jesus led with honesty and humility. Jesus ultimately should be our embodiment of the perfect person, the perfect man.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus was not. I mean, he had enough upper body strength to flip tables. But other than that, I mean, there's no indication that he was like, super buff or built. He was attractive, but, not in a way that we would put on a pedestal of like, that's a man. And I wonder about this idea of showing emotions. Obviously, in Ecclesiastes, it tells us there's a time to weep and a time to laugh and a time to throw an interception. No, that's not actually in there.
Oh, too soon.
But I think a man is someone who experiences all of life and who is not afraid to let people see the real him. Maybe that's the real bravery, is living with like kind of your feelings on display, to say there's nothing, there's nothing that I'm afraid of about you knowing my shortcomings or about you knowing my weakness. I mean, was Superman less strong when everyone knew about his kryptonite?
Right.
I don't know. But what if you weren't afraid of your kryptonite because you knew you had the Lord with you? So maybe humility is a big part of biblical manhood.
Well, I think being a man, or a woman for that matter, just a good Christ-like person in general, is seeing people as people. And that's part of humility, is being like that guy who just, kicked my butt in this game, as human as I am. And I think we have a tendency in sports to really dehumanize people. Like, how many times have you heard people just saying horrible, distasteful things about the refs or the other team or those scallywags? I hate them. I hate those Denver Broncos who also worked hard and wanted to win and put in as much work as we did to get this far. Like, we're so quick to totally demonize the other side, who literally the only reason that you are that you have the allegiance to your sports team that you do is because you were born there. This wasn't like a noble choice that I decided one day to be a Bills fan. You are a Bills fan because it's nostalgic, or because you grew up here, or because you have family who are. And they're Broncos fans because that's where they live and that's where they grew up. Like, let's recognize, as followers of Christ and as fellow human beings, that everybody is just as human, just as broken, and maybe just as deserving of the win or the loss as we are.
What if true manhood was defined by love? Especially if we look at Christ as the example.
Love God, love others. That's on these two things, on these two pillars, the whole law stands, yeah.
Right, but we also have this scripture in Ephesians where husbands are called to love their wives the way that Christ loved the church, which we know is sacrificially, selflessly, tenderly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe manhood includes responsibility and care and love. And when I see someone like Josh Allen standing at a podium with tears in his eyes, I feel like there's a guy who loves his city, loves his team, loves his fans, loves his family, and feels like this shortcoming has let them down. There's something manly about tenderness.
I love our producer, Josh Allen. What a guy.
He's a pretty good guy.
Stinks that he had to miss one of our last podcasts because he was, training so hard. But, we love Josh Allen. Yeah, no, I absolutely. I think that there is, it's hard to be vulnerable, whoever you are. And sometimes we want to bottle up feelings, or we perceive that the guy who doesn't show emotion is the more tough and the more manly. And I think there's a place for that, like stoicism. If you are ruled by your emotions, then there's not much discipline or
right.
toughness in you. And I think that's where we get it. But I would say it's also just as damaging and just as concerning to see somebody who shows no emotion at all.
Right.
You know, and of course, you've fought all year and trained hard all year with your team to get to this playoff game, and then you lose. Yeah, I would be a little teary-eyed too. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think that shows a duality of man, that, you know, you have somebody who is willing to put in the work and the sweat and the effort to get this far, and who is also emotionally there enough to mourn when the effort is not enough. I think that's a noble thing.
One of the things that breaks my heart is the fact that Josh Allen is a pretty awesome human, but we never see him in the prayer circle at the end of the game. And so I'm not sure where he stands in his faith walk. Like, obviously, I can't tell if somebody is really a Christian or not a Christian or knows the Lord, but oftentimes adversity is the thing that draws people to the cross. And ultimately, that's my hope for Josh Allen and for every member of the team, that another heartbreaking season will draw them to the hope, to the protection that we ultimately have in Christ. You know, if you're feeling this pressure to man up, remember the Bible celebrates the man who weeps, the man who prays, the man who works hard and loves well. And courage doesn't come from being emotion free. It's facing life with heart. Humility is not a weakness. It's seeing yourself in the light of Jesus. And responsibility is love in action. My biggest prayer would be that out of this very icky season, that as many players on that team would come to know Christ as possible, that it would be a force for Jesus in the community and across the whole nation. How cool would it be to see a bunch of Christian dudes win the Super Bowl next year?
I was going to say, being a Bills player or a Bills fan might be like a pressure cooker for the Lord, you know, because you're constantly having to learn patience and endurance and long suffering and love and humility. You know, if you're a Bills fan, you got your work cut out for you to be Christ-like at the same time. Bills Mafia,
yeah,
there's some aggression there.
So there is crying in football, and maybe there should be crying in baseball, too. Can't say that on Christian radio.
That's a movie quote, by the way. It's a very famous movie quote. You should know it. You should know it. If you don't, you might be homeschooled. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, you could subscribe, maybe. And if you really liked it, you could always say so by making a gift to Family Life, the ministry this podcast is a part of. Just go to familylife.org and find out more about what we do.
Our producer is Josh Allen. How could we ever thank you enough? Did you know that Family Life offers a variety of podcasts? Get up to date with Family Life news, including the Noon Report and the 5 o'clock reports. There's If That Makes Sense, a conversation for Christians in their 20s. They're all free and on demand at familylife.org/podcast.